What if I told you there was once a queen so feared, so brutal, that she wiped out nearly half her own kingdom? A queen who boiled people alive, banned Christianity with a death penalty, and laughed as thousands were hurled off cliffs. This isn't a horror movie. This is history. And her name was Ranavalona I, the blood-soaked monarch of Madagascar. Ranavalona I rose to power in 1828 in the lush island kingdom of Madagascar. But don't let the paradise fool you. Once she took the throne, paradise turned into purgatory. She wasn't born into royalty. She was the daughter of a commoner who once saved the king's life. As a reward, she was adopted into the royal family. But when the old king died, Ranavalona didn't wait her turn. She seized power in a bloody coup. She eliminated her rivals with swift brutality, poisonings, quiet assassinations, public executions. One by one, they disappeared. And once she wore the crown, she ruled with an iron fist and a thirst for fear. But what made her so terrifying wasn't just how she killed. It was why. Ranavalona saw foreign influence as a threat, so she did what any tyrant would do. She crushed it. European missionaries were expelled. Locals who converted to Christianity, tortured, executed, or worse. Have you ever heard of the tangena ordeal? She brought it back in full force. It was a deadly trial. Suspected criminals were forced to eat 3 pieces of chicken skin and swallow a poisonous nut. If they vomited it all, innocent. If not, guilty. Thousands died this way. Tangena trials became so common that in a single year, 1838, over 20% of the population may have died just from this ritual alone. That's not a justice system. That's a weapon of mass fear. And guess what? It wasn't just criminals. It was anyone she didn't like. Anyone who spoke a foreign language. Anyone who wore foreign clothes. Anyone who seemed disloyal. Between 1833 and 1839, over 100,000 people died from the tangena ordeal alone. That's not war. That's policy. Her obsession with power turned Madagascar into a paranoid police state. Citizens spied on one another. Her soldiers roamed the streets. Execution was public and creative. Some were flayed alive. Others were tossed into pits of boiling water. The unlucky, thrown off cliffs, called the gates of hell. She even used psychological torture, forced marches into dangerous jungles, banishment to remote villages, branding with hot iron. One missionary recorded that villagers were terrified even to whisper her name. She was like a living ghost, watching. Now let's pause and imagine daily life under Ranavalona. You wake up each morning wondering, will today be my last? A neighbor could accuse you of treason. A local official could demand you prove your loyalty. One wrong look, one slip of the tongue, and you're facing the tangena trial. The population fell by an estimated 1 to 2 million people during her 33-year reign. It wasn't just murder, it was starvation, disease, slavery. She ordered massive construction projects using forced labor. Thousands died hauling stone through disease-ridden swamps. Their bodies were left behind, unburied. This wasn't just cruelty. It was calculated domination. But not everyone bowed their heads. Foreign nations tried to intervene. French and British forces attempted invasions. She repelled them all. Not because she had better weapons, but because no one understood her better than she did. She was utterly unpredictable. Even within her court, betrayal was common. But betrayers rarely lived long enough to try twice. One French military officer wrote, "She is the most savage woman on the earth, and the most cunning." She built an image of herself as untouchable, immortal, and her people, broken by fear, believed it. Ranavalola's secret weapon wasn't her army. It was fear. She created a culture of silence, of suspicion, of isolation. Think of North Korea today. Neighbors snitching on neighbors, children turning in parents. No one could trust anyone. And when she died in 1861, the kingdom was broken. Half its population gone. Trade destroyed. Roads deserted. But here's the twist. Some still see her as a nationalist hero. Why? Because she resisted colonization. She kept Madagascar independent from European rule for 3 decades. In a world where African nations fell like dominoes, she stood her ground. So was she a butcher or a freedom fighter? You decide. Today in Madagascar, her legacy is complicated. Some call her the Mad Queen, others the Iron Queen. Statues still stand. Streets bear her name, yet so do the stories, passed down in hushed tones, tales of ghosts, of suffering, of the queen who ruled like a god. Modern historians debate her reign endlessly. Was her brutality a shield against colonialism, or was colonialism the excuse for unchecked cruelty? What would you have done in her place? Accept the foreign powers, or burn everything to keep them out? Ranavalona. I wasn't just a queen. She was a force of nature, a storm in human form. She left a trail of blood, and a legacy that still divides historians today. Her story reminds us that history isn't always good versus evil. Sometimes it's survival versus submission. So what do you think? Was she the cruelest queen in history, or the fiercest protector of her people? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you found this story as shocking as we did, hit that like button. Subscribe for more forgotten tales of history,